Anyway, and a lot of people were shocked to find out that Nixon or Jimmy Carter or somebody was like, yeah, the 92nd Battalion is coming up and they're going to be taking over the town or rescuing those people. And you find out the 92nd Battalion, or I forget which battalion it was, but it's the troops that Nixon and JFK were talking about. You find out that all of them are like a bunch of people on motorcycles with machine guns. It's a bunch of people on motorcycles and machine guns going up against tanks. You know, and you find out that it's more like Hell's Angels or something like that. But you find out a lot of the troops that Nixon or JFK or John McCain what they were talking about. They were calling out, oh yeah, we got the 92nd Battalion and 31st Battalion, and they're rescuing people over there. And it's like, no, they're the ones that are actually destroying the towns, and they're people riding motorcycles with sidecars and machine guns. And meanwhile, to America, they're saying, yeah, Hitler and his army, yeah, look at them, they're destroying this town. And they filmed like the motorcycle people, which actually are Hell's Angels or something like that, doing the little filming these things as basically, yeah, it's Hitler's army and all this other stuff. And you find out that it's all fake. They rented the helicopter for a day to do this thing. They they just appeared at a dam opening or something like that, and they're just for appearing as stand-in people for the president or someone like that. So it's all fake. Everything is fake. Everything from 1950 to 1960 as far as the American president or president or leaders of and they're saying leaders of America, not even U.S. leaders. Later on, they try and twist it around to say it's a U.S. leadership, whatever, and it's not. They're stand-in for American president, which is me. So anyway, and they try to take over the country, and take over the world and everything else, and that's what Nixon and JFK, and that's why Korea and China and everywhere else are being attacked during Vietnam, and they're attacking sites like Chernobyl, and basically trying to get the radiation, the nuclear stuff, so they can have nuclear bombs. So they can eventually then hold the world hostage, and so Nixon won't go to jail. I'm not going to jail. I'll do it right now. Yeah. Anyway, so Nixon, who wanted to push the button really bad, who was actually JFK with a facelift, and like he was the U.S. leader, and not even American leader. Like he was just some guy in the White House, and like they went to Russia and basically like attacked the Chernobyl site, trying to get the radioactive stuff, and then they couldn't do it, or it went bad, or whatever. And you basically find out that the troops that Nixon's ordering around, that JFK and everybody they're ordering around, they're basically just like bikers. They're people with sidecars and machine guns, and realistically, they raped and killed more than anybody else, and they're doing like, running at women and raping people in the towns of Germany and Russia. And this is what's going on in 1960, 1970, and 1980. And basically, you find out that where it's all fake. It's all fake. It was always fake. It's just a bunch of people acting crazy, and like they had nothing to do with the government at all. They're just people with a public access TV show. Anyway, and eventually they got into the White House and they rented it to get in there, and then they just wouldn't leave. And meanwhile they're trying to kill me or trying to find me, and ordering around the country like it's their real country, and like they have nothing to do with anything. Where the people are just like, and they're like trying to get their laws to be enforced by the police officers, and the police officers like, and they're actually trying to skim from the legitimate American police department, which actually has bulletproof vests, night vision, and anything else that they could possibly want. And they're actually taking that and using that in other countries to do their commando raids in 1960, 1970, all naked. And that's actually what the Congress is doing in 1950, 1960, 1970, 1980. And you find out that where it's just these people running around raping people and doing drugs and killing people, and they have nothing to do with anything that's going on in the American government or the American country or really anywhere more than they're just shooting people and driving around sidecars. Like you find out and you see JFK, Jimmy Carter, Nixon's forces, and they're bikers. They're Hell's Angels fools, and they're basically just people with people with sidecars, and wearing those little Nazi helmets, and they're actually old leftover helmets from bygone era, or years ago. They're just going around shooting people, doing drugs, and basically just stealing everything that they possibly can get to make money so they can buy more drugs. So, and that's basically the Nixon administration and the Kennedy administration. And basically they're just shooting people in houses to live in there, or moving other people, or trying to sell. And they're just trying everything. And it's just this whole thing. And then you have like General Rodney and trying to get access to his ship, which is named the Rodney, the SS Rodney, or LS Rodney. And it's like, I just named a ship after you. You can't actually go use it. That's not your private ship, dude. Anyway, and like Rodney tries to get access to the Rodney battleship to go use and to attack people. It's like, Rodney, I just named 3 ships after you, and you're my supposed father or whatever, but that doesn't mean you can actually go use the ships or command the ships. Anyway, but Nixon or somebody makes him admiral or something like that, and it's like, you're crazy. Anyway, and you get all this stuff, and it's considered national security, top secret, where basically, pretty much, it would be America, but it's not America. It's the U.S. That's just like these crazy fools, like driving around, running around, on bikes with sidecars that they stole or bought, and there they could get cheap, and basically pretending to be an army going into Russia, and the Russians and the Germans are like, who are these people on sidecar? I bet we can still hit them. And then they go up against like the real Russian military and the real German military. And it's like, and realistically what they try and do is they actually try and lock them up, by police officers. They try and pretend to be police officers to lock up the people that are commanding the armies, or put them on trial for war crimes that never really happened, to try and kill them, to get them out of the way, because they can't actually face off against a real army. Or they try and do car bombs or something else like that. And that's what's really going on in 1950, 1960, 1970. And basically it's just Hell's Angels or bikers, basically, or people on sidecars and machine guns. And they're doing this in 1960, 1970, and whatever, and they're claiming it as Hitler's army or the German army, or it's really the Nazi army, because they're just a bunch of fools on motorcycles. And they have nothing to do with Germany. They have nothing to do with America. They have nothing to do with anyone. They have nothing to do with what's called. They're people from Harvard or Yale, and basically like Nixon, JFK, Jimmy Carter, and all of them. And they stole the Maltese Falcon. And they have nothing to do with anyone's government, realistically. Like, and where George W. Bush is supposedly a war veteran, but he's not really a war veteran. He's part of the Yankee group and all that other stuff. And it's like, that's why Germany was like, they're crazy. They're crazy. And they actually end up trying to go rape the Queen of England. And they try and rape other queens. And even beauty queens. And really all they have is drugs and money and some money that they stole. They're just thieves. That's all they were. And realistically, and then they try and do chemical waste cleanup, of nuclear waste cleanup, because there's a lot of money involved for all the equipment that it takes to go and do the chemical waste cleanup. And what they actually do is they actually go and sell off the chemical waste cleanup and all the technical stuff, and then they actually go and hire people that have no idea what they're doing to go and clean it up and then die. And that's the us people, or they try and cut staff at complexes, and basically they just blow up because of lack of maintenance and lack of everything. And that is the 1960, 1970, 1980 basically U.S. government. Us government, which is all fake. They weren't a real government. They're not part of America. They're not part of anyone. Just a bunch of people just stealing money and trying to claim that they cleaned up nuclear waste, but they actually didn't clean up nuclear waste. They just hired a bunch of people to go bury it or just killed them. And they could have gotten more money from recycling the waste, but they were just in it for the quick money. And so a lot of people died from handling this nuclear waste. And then later on we're mining it. It would have been easier just to go and recycle it and reuse it from in the beginning, but they didn't do that. They had all these people get killed and then poured it in the ground, and now they're mining it out of the ground.